everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different besides for our usual cooking videos. Today we're going to talk all about head covering, how I cover my hair. Before we go into the different styles of how I do it, the different scarves I use and the different shapes, the different ties, I wanted to maybe first speak about the meaning, at least for me, the meaning behind covering my hair as a Jewish woman. And there are a couple of things, so I thought I would share it with you, and please do let me know what you think, what your thoughts are on head covering for women. Let's start with the biblical source for this, what the Torah says about Jewish women covering their hair. And this is the sotah. The sotah is a woman referred to in the Torah as someone who's been accused of adultery, of not being faithful to her husband. And part of the ceremony in which she is tested as to whether if she's innocent or guilty, it's mentioned that her head covering is removed, and that is a form of humiliation. So we can presume that if a woman's head covering is being taken off, first of all, that it's covered usually, that is the norm. And secondly, by uncovering the married woman's hair, it does seem to be a humiliation, a part of getting to the truth. And uncovering her hair is seen as something humiliating. So this is the biblical source, and I know that might be a little bit difficult for us to comprehend, but here's what I like to take from it. First of all, when I leave my house, when I go from my private domain to my public domain, I know that the world sees me in a very certain light. I can very openly, very obviously, you can see I'm a religious Jewish woman. I identify with maybe a certain sect of Judaism, but most importantly, I'm a married Jewish woman. I am proud to be married and proud to be Jewish and proud to show it to the world. I feel that it gives me that separation between the private and the public domain. Now, just as a side note, according to Jewish law, in front of one's close relatives, men, that could be my father, my brother, things like that, I can show my hair. And in my home, so if we're having immediate family over in my own home, I personally don't cover it. But in the public domain, or if there are men that not from my immediate family in my house, I do cover my hair. I'm currently watching on Netflix The Crown, and we see there the Queen, when she goes out into the world, just like every celebrity, she is criticized, she's watched for every single movement, because she's the Queen of England. She needs to behave in a certain way. But in her home, at the end of the day, she's a woman of flesh and blood, just like me and you. She's a mother, she is a wife. And that's how I feel a little bit about head covering. I am a Jewish woman who's like a queen. We're all queens. And when we go out as a proud Jewish woman, as a Jewish queen, we need to act in a certain way, of course, at home as well. But we're going out into the public, especially. Other people can see us. We are, in a way, showing the world who Jewish people are, what Jewish people are, and we need to behave in a certain way in order to preserve that specialness, that uniqueness, and also the holiness and the importance of being a Jewish woman. When a woman gets married in Judaism, a level, let's say, of sexuality is revealed that compared to a non-married woman, this becomes more revealed as a Jewish woman gets married. And therefore, this is another reason to add that extra layer of privacy, that a woman who is married needs to think more about making sexuality more modest, covering her hair, and also keeping it special between a husband and a wife. Myself included, I think we all have become desensitized today to modesty in the world. And in many ways, hair is something very attractive, and hair can be something sexual. So as a married woman, we now have that intimacy, that physical intimacy that we didn't have before. We need to preserve that and remind ourselves that something is private between us and our spouse. So I find it to be very special. I know that my husband is the one that's seeing my hair. It keeps it something special in our marriage. And I'm also telling the world, I have an amazing husband, an amazing marriage, and, back off. We can talk, we can be friends, but there's certain boundaries. And that's because I have a different status. I'm a married woman, and we need to observe certain boundaries. So as I mentioned before, I'm watching The Crown on Netflix, and I really do feel like this is my crown. I go out, I feel, like I said before, proud, and like I have a responsibility to really to bring light into the world, especially, you know, with anti-Semitism that's going on. I really feel that sense of duty to show the world what it is to be a proud, doing my best to do good in this world Jewish woman. And that's how I personally connect to this commandment. Now, it's not all serious, it's also fun. I do love the look. I do love changing it up a little bit. I'll show you some of my scarves, some of my favorite, and also some of my favorite ties, how I like to tie them. You can see this what I'm wearing, and I'm going to show you how I do this knot. So I will take it out a bit, and yeah, my hair's short. I show a little bit at the bottom. In different communities of Orthodox Judaism, you'll see women revealing more or less hair. That's also dependent on different opinions, and it's also something that's very personal. So I'm going to undo this and just show you how I do this tie. So I've got the scarf on my head. Okay, I just took the two ends. I'll show you how I do this. First of all, I've got a little band here, a Velcro band that's anti-slip, so you know the scarf doesn't just fly off my head. So we've got here two ends, okay? The two ends of the scarf, I'm going to take them behind my head. I'm covering my ears in most instances with it, just a matter of habit. I'm bringing them around either side, okay? Try and make it as even length as possible. I'm going to gather each side of the scarf and bring them to the middle. Do that on both sides. Don't skip the step. Now I will try and do this as slowly as possible. I'm going to bring it to the top. Bring the one over the other. Bring the other one inside like I'm doing a simple tie, a simple knot. Okay, I am pulling that. You see I have these two ends. Pulling them. I'm going to take the one that's down by my face, pulling it all the way back to give us that nice little effect there, that nice look. Bring the other one over, okay? And now we're going to just tuck it in. So at the back, I'm just going to tuck in as neatly as possible the remainder of the scarf. And this one as well, the other side. Also just going to tuck in at the back. Okay, once it's tucked in, I can look in my mirror here. I can see that it's tucked in properly, that it looks the way I want it to. If there's anything that needs adjusting or pushing in, I can do that. Just my bit of hair that is showing. Whatever you want to do. And of course, this is your mitzvah. This is something you always need to feel beautiful doing. Judaism is not about being ugly, and that must be a misconception with some Jewish women who cover their hair with wigs. People could argue and say, well, the wig might be more beautiful than the woman's hair itself. I thought that women cover their hair in order to look unattractive, so they're not attractive to other men. No, Judaism does not believe in being ugly. Modesty and ugliness are not one and the same. Being modest means keeping things for the private, keeping the public and the private separate, but Judaism believes in the importance of looking good, of presenting yourself in a good, presentable manner, and being ugly is definitely not something that Judaism encourages, or looking shabby. We should always look our best, of course, in a modest way. So this is the first look. You can also adjust this front thing here. And there we go. So the next tie that I'm going to do is also quite simple, one that I use very often, like the one you saw previously. And I'm also showing you one of my favorite scarves. It's blue, but it's also multicolored, so you can really have fun with it, with what shirt you're wearing, what outfit you're wearing. So I really love this one. So again, we've just got it folded in half, and I like to buy really big rectangular scarves. So this is folded into two, bringing it back behind my head. And again, bringing each side, the opposite side, to the front. Again, what we're going to do is getting our two ends of the scarf and bringing them to the center, like this. Bringing it to the middle, an important step. Okay. And now, instead of bringing them together like I did last time to make a knot, I'm going to do gently one by one. This one's going to go a little further back. See, I'm just bringing it over there, pushing it in neatly as I need. See all the beautiful colors coming through there. And bringing that here, I'm going to hold it with this hand. I'm going to use my other hand to bring the other half over. And that's going to come over here. Don't worry, we can always readjust. Okay. Now I'm going to tie a simple knot at the back. Simple one over the other. And tie it. I'm going to adjust here a bit. I'm going to leave these out because it's fun. It feels like kind of I have more hair and can bring this to the front. And as you see, also a very nice design, seeing all the pretty colors. And that was really simple. You see, none of these are complicated. I'm not a morning person, and when I need to cover my hair in the morning before getting out that door, I don't want to do some fancy complicated things. We don't have bad hair days when we cover our hair, but we could have bad scarf days. So I like to keep it pretty, but also as simple as possible. So this is another really nice look. You can also change it up by tucking these back. Okay, so once I've tied the knot at the back, I'm going to simply tuck them in here. Tucking it in, folding it in at the back. I hope you can see this. Also tucking it in on this side. And there you've got a similar, but maybe a bit more formal look with the ends tucked away. And there you go, showing you some of my funky mitbachot, my funky scarves. And I also like to have some plain ones. So this is a solid maroon, red, whatever you want to call it. And of course, sometimes solid colors, then I can have a busy dress or busy patterns and a solid color as the head covering. So again, just like I started with the other two, going to bring it to the back, bring each side forward. Again, bringing the sides into the center. You'll learn very quickly. Not too many crazy secrets or crazy tricks up my sleeve. Very simple, fun stuff. This one's going to be very similar to the one we did with the knot. I'm going to bring these together. Bring this one in, right, like I'm tying a knot. Okay, this will be very similar, just maybe a little bit more hippie, a little bit, woo, I'm a hippie. I don't know if you're into that. And yeah, you do see this in some communities where the women like to kind of leave it more flowy, more hippie, religious hippie. And I'm just kind of leaving one out here. This might seem crazy to you. It might seem cool. You could also leave two out if you really want to be hippie. Okay. Maybe not that. Maybe not like that. Maybe we can take this. Okay, I'm also experimenting at the same time. Have fun with it. I'm going to tuck the one in as you saw. And this one I'm going to bring to the back and let it just hang out freely. Right? It's going to hang. You see there it's hanging freely at the back. Again, very pretty, very flowy. And you could do that, of course, with a big scarf. You have even more options. And that's the last one I'm going to show you, one of my Shabbat scarves. All right, now some of you may be thinking, what the heck does this woman have in the head? Is she crazy? Well, yes, I might be crazy, but not for this reason. So this is something in Israel, we call it a bobo. Not sure what, let me know in the comments if you know what you call it outside of Israel. And this bobo is essentially you saw the anti-slip thing that keeps it from slipping off my head, the Velcro, as well as a nice sponge at the back. So lots of ladies like to have a lot of volume, not just to have, a flat scarf on the head, but rather including your hair and the sponge. It gives you a nice bit of volume. There are ones that have more volume at the top. This one brings more volume to the back. And this is what we're going to use under our scarf, like I said, to give us more volume. So as I mentioned before, I have many scarves, many different colors and designs, which is a lot of fun. I'll show you one of my Shabbat scarves. And as you can see, it's quite large. Okay, don't know if you see the size, but it's very big. People also use these as shawls, as something to keep them warm in the winter. You can also cover your hair with it. No one's judging. And if they are, who cares? So I've folded it into two. I'm going to put it, as the others, as always, on my head, adjusting it. Of course, we don't want people to see the anti-slip band. We don't want them to see the bobo. So making sure that's well hidden. As I said, this is one of my more Shabbat fancy special scarves. Again, like we've done all the time. Nothing crazy. Bringing it to the front. By the way, some women simply like to cover their hair like this, to wear their tichel, to wear their scarf like this. And that's also beautiful. Personally, I don't think it fits my face well, that it suits me and the shape of my face. I feel like I need something with more volume. But there are Jewish ladies who cover their hair like this, and it's really all beautiful and so personal. So just like I did with the others, I'm not going to do anything different here. Simply show you a nice big Shabbat scarf with the bobo underneath for volume. I'm going to do that one, bringing them each to one side. I'm going to tie it at the back. I'm going to tuck it in. You could leave it out, leave those tassels out, not a bad look. You could also tuck it in, and I might want to show a little bit more so I don't look bald. So just take out hair as you feel comfortable. Okay, leaving that out. And there we go. Now this, because it's got some patterns, I could wear it with a plain dress, plain black, some nice jewelry. And there we go, all ready for Shabbat. And you've seen how easy that is. I do have a shaitel. I don't wear it. I don't think it looks great on me. I also live in Israel, where we have Middle Eastern weather. We have very hot summers. And I just don't think I would cope well with a wig on my head in the Israeli summer. But as I said before, you do you. You do what makes you feel beautiful, what makes you feel special. And just to give you an idea of how many scarves I have, this isn't all of them, but this is what I've managed to get onto the rack. As you can see, all the shapes and colors and styles, and that may be just half of it. Now, I'm not always exactly up to wearing a scarf. It's been a chilly winter, not freezing, but it's been a little bit cold. And sometimes if I don't feel like having that big scarf on my head, I do just wear a regular beanie or whatever you'd like to call it. And this keeps me warm. It's a bit hot for the Israeli summer, but really, Jewish women, cover your hair with whatever you see fit. Hope that you enjoyed this video. Do let me know what you think in the comments, and again, how you feel about head covering. We are all here to respect and to listen to one another, to learn from one another. So I'd love to hear from you. Thanks, everybody.